As I was listening to Chaito, our wonderful guest musician today, singing, I couldn't help but being taken back 42 years when we were playing together at a nightclub along with her mother, Teresa Champion, and her famous dance troupe, and her husband, the late legendary El Curro, who's very much present here today. I don't know if you feel him as much as I do, but El Curro, Willie, is right here, and he's smiling. There was a club down on the San Antonio Riverwalk called El Poco Loco, and the Champion family were the headliners. Willie El Curro played amazing flamenco guitar like this, only even more so. And Teresa led this wonderful dance troupe of beautiful young women, among them Chaito, the vocalist and dancer, who was, we were. And I was a sophomore at Trinity University, working my way through school as a waiter and as a singer. And so I opened the show with the white boy singer-songwriter, John Denver, Beatles, Elton John, Rudi Harst tune stuck in every once in a while. And then the Poco Loco band would come up, and there were a 6-7-piece salsa band. Great, man, those guys could rock. And then when we got the room good and hot, then Chaito and Teresa and the rest of the Champion family would come along and sing. And so if we're here today, if this is a timeline, and we're here right now with hearts wide open, I'm thinking that was 42 years ago, which is, I don't know, where on this timeline? It seems like it was just a couple of months ago. Really, it was just a couple of months ago. It was 42 years ago, I guess. I don't know. Or maybe it's here. Time is kind of squishy. What can I say? For those of us who are getting older, it gets squishier and more variable. But I do know that however long ago it was on the timeline, that guy who was Rudi Harst was aspiring someday to be a really good guitarist like Willie or like James Taylor, somebody famous, somebody better, somebody who could really do a thing. And I was just kind of picking on my chords, singing as the opening act and working my way around the restaurants on the Riverwalk and in downtown, singing for tips and looking forward to that day when I was gonna be good. I would be famous, you know. Fast forward to here, or is it here? I don't know. Or is it here? Am I still hanging out in the future trying to create something other than what I am in this moment? There's a part of me that still is like, oh yeah, when and if the circle gets bigger and more organized, and yes, and when I sell more CDs, and then when I really learn how to play guitar and I really have some kind of mastery over the fingerboard, then it'll be better. And this morning, I would like to take a little time to consider the possibility of recreating the past, or at least recreating my understanding of the past, because at some level, inside of me, there was this guy back here, wherever it was, or maybe further back, when he was still only 5 years old and singing in the choir, his first lead, singing with the youth choir at the First Protestant United Church of Christ, Evangelical and Reformed. I took church very seriously as a 5-year-old, and as a 12-year-old, and as a 63-year-old. I believed very strongly in the power of a spiritual community. But as a 5-year-old, there was this part of me that really wanted to fill the chapel with my voice as a 5-year-old, really. And I didn't do it good enough. I did it well, and lots of people came up afterward and said, oh, Rudi, that was so wonderful. We're so glad you're singing solos to the choir. You have such a marvelous voice, blah, blah, blah. And all I heard was, blah, 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 because I missed that note in the second bar of the opening. Huh? That's all I could hear. Fast forward, a few years, and I'm playing at the Poco Loco Club, and I'm doing my best, and I'm trying to work my way up from the opener to the at least mid of the show. Could I be after the Poco Loco band for once? And doing my best and constantly sabotaging myself with Well, I'm not even going to say how I was sabotaging myself. It doesn't matter how I was. We all have ways of sabotaging myself. That was the 70s. That's all I'm going to say about that. At least I think I remember it was. But always there was the sense in me that I had to overcome my limitations of the past. Always there was the sense that I wasn't good enough and that someday I would be good enough when I got over there and achieved that and could play there or sell that. Did anybody else know that feeling? Out of curiosity, for those of you who've been coming to the circle for a while, how many of you here, on a show of hands, how many of you here would look at me and listen to me speak and sing for the past few weeks or months and say that I'm a stupid or a lazy guy? I'm guessing I'm the only one in the room holding my hand up. Because on a regular basis, I find myself thinking, if only I hadn't done that stupid thing. If I weren't so lazy. If only I had taken better chance with that break. Or if only I'd prepared better. You know that one? And there's a part of me that's been working so hard and so long to get past that part of me that feels tiny. That feels, let me just go ahead and put up here. Stupid, lazy Rudi. There's this part of me that's trying to overcome that stupid, lazy Rudi for a long time. And it's only recently that I've come to understand the power of embracing myself just the way I am, including all the labels I have called myself. That part of me that keeps trying to be better than who I am is exactly the part of me that keeps defeating me. So there's this notion in our culture, you all knew when I was looking at this line, I said, here's today, here's the past, whether 42 years ago was here or here in my mind's eye is just an illusion, but you all knew that from this point to the left meant the past, right? And that from this point onward means the future, because that's how we look at it. In our culture, we understand that the past is where? Behind us, and the future is ahead of us. Let me take a moment to posit another possibility. At the time when Jesus the Christ was teaching what we now call the Holy Land, in the time when the Buddha was teaching, it was fairly commonly understood that the future was here, was going on before us. It wasn't behind us. Like a caravan that was started here, everything that I had done in the past is preceding me into the future and pulling me into the future. That was an understanding of time. It's only relatively recently, in what we call the event of Western civilization, that we started thinking of the future as being, the past as being behind us and something to be overcome and built upon. Instead of this, consider the possibility that everything that was past is pulling me into the future, has preceded me into the future. Whoa, so that here is a direction of the past, and here is a direction of the future. Am I messing with your minds yet? The notion is that everything that happened in the past is a gift. Everything that happened in the past, however painful, however long it lasted for years or just a couple of embarrassing nanoseconds, and if the rest of you have embarrassing nanoseconds that took just that long in the 6th grade or as a sophomore in college to totally embarrass you and change your life forever, yeah? The notion is that whether it took a nanosecond or it took months or it took years to overcome that bad marriage or that first job or dropping out of college or whatever it was that, quote, beat you up sabotage you in the past was nothing more than a predecessor for what is coming now and what is yet to be, what is wanting to unfold. And that all of that, the disease, the first relationships, the quote failures in business or education, all of them were simply pulling you into a place of building a big, round, deep now. A big, round, wet, moist, dark, mysterious now. And yes, it's important to grieve our losses. It's important to grieve our losses because they're very real. It's important to acknowledge the power of the dark things that happened in your childhood or the ways you, whatever the seeming, quote, negative things are from the past. It's important to acknowledge them, but only to the extent that they enrich and fertilize our present moment. And you know what fertilizer is, right? Yeah. It's nothing but old dead stuff making new life possible. Someone just gave me the very best fertilizer for my garden I've ever had. It's alpaca poop from an alpaca farm out in the hill country. My friend brought it to me and said, this is Inca gold. She brought me a big bag of it, but it's the smelliest god-awful stuff ever. It's awful. And when I go to put it on my garden, I go, ugh. It stinks, it's messy, it draws flies, but it absolutely makes wonderful crops grow. Does that metaphor mean anything to you? Is there any part of your life that stinks and has full of flies and you wish you could overcome and leave behind? No. Can you see what a rich gift you have created for yourself that life has brought you? Can you see with me that we are not bound by the past or by any old ideas about the future? That it's time to overcome the tyranny of the perfect future that's gonna someday, somehow, and claim the power of this moment to build, to grow, unfold into whatever comes next. In a culture which is addicted to somehow, someday, if only I get a better car, if only I have a better job, if only I lose more weight, if only, in a culture which keeps wanting to keep you small by reminding you how big you're going to be someday, if only, you and I are invited to take the radical step and say, this moment is perfect, and I am perfect, whole and complete, just the way I am, for now. And all that has happened is a gift. And I am free to co-create a new future, to let go of my old future, just to let go of notion of how the future is going to be and be fully present here and now, knowing that in that embrace, a powerful, wonderful, noble future is growing. At least that's my story. But for now, I'm sticking to it.